here and just lucky to know him and play a few quarter notes for him too. Um, Geoff, Geoff Adams, I actually haven't been able to play with you yet, but I have seen your project. So you guys, uh, you are in for a treat with in regards to what Geoff has to present too, because he has certainly uh, been very creative in this project. Um, and then lastly, Zahili Gonzalez, who has definitely inspired me, not only as a pianist, but a composer, and also just as a human being in general. Very warm and great composer will be presenting last. So you guys are in for a treat. You definitely don't want to listen to me talk too much. Um, in the meantime, for those of you who haven't, if you could just kind of make sure you stay on mute, that would be great for the artist presenting. What's the usual spiel? What else am I forgetting here, guys?
Let me jump in for a second, Kevin,
Yeah,
if that's
sure. Go
okay.
ahead, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Kevin. And I just want to say I actually forgot to turn on recording before Kevin started, so I missed a little of the pearls of wisdom that he generated, but that'll be all in our minds. The recording will have most of it. So if anybody is concerned about the recording, let me know in the chat, but I assume it's okay with everyone.
Mhm.
And I also want to just mention about Jazz Boston, about the organization. Most of you know about Jazz Boston, some of you may not. It's an organization that's been around now for about 15 years. There's recently been a change of leadership. Pauline Bilski stepped back, um, and I ended up taking on the leadership. But the organization is, kind of finding itself still. But our goal is to advocate for jazz musicians, for jazz audiences, for jazz media, for jazz presenters, all of whom are having a tough time right now in the Boston area. And we're trying to take on some projects that we think will be helpful to the community. That's our goal. That's our purpose. We'd love it if anybody who's not a member could actually become a member. You can do that. It's free. You could just go onto the website, jazzboston.org, and it's very obvious how to become a member. You'll get a newsletter every month, and pretty much that's it. But we'd love to have people sign on and just be members. That's helpful to us to have, to be able to say this is how many members we have. Even if you were already a member in the past, please rejoin now. Sign up and rejoin. And we also, we have some minimal expenses, but if anybody feels motivated to donate some money, we're happy to take a little bit of money to help with our ongoing expenses. So that's all I got to say.
Cool.
Back to you, Kevin.
So just so everybody knows what we have in mind, tonight each of the artists are going to describe a little bit of their project and then play a little bit of their project, what they worked on. And then after that, we'll just kind of open it up for questions, comments in regards to the project. And we're going to do about 20 minutes of each artist. So, and we'll start off again with um, Bruce, then Jason, then Geoff, then we'll end with Ziley. So let me see. Feel free to put questions, comments in the chat. Anything else? I think that's it. Okay, Bruce, you're up, man.
Okay. So I don't really have like a fancy PowerPoint presentation or anything like that, but this is what I've been doing during the pandemic just to stay fresh and keep the music flowing. Give you a little bit of a history first. Back in the late 70s, I started to play with Jerry Bergonzi, who's here, and we started doing recordings in the early 80s at a place called Baker Street Studios in Watertown. If you're young, you probably wouldn't know about this place, but this engineer named Roger Baker had a studio in Watertown, sort of near the Arsenal Mall, actually, area. And we used to go there every week for quite a while and just put stuff down on tape, trying out new music or things we've been working on. And we did an album with Mick Goodrick and Jeff Williams and Jerry and myself called Conbrio, which was released by a bassist, Gene Perla, who was Elvin Jones's bass player, who was a friend of Jerry's. He had a label, and he liked the record, and he agreed to put it out for us. And then we made it, and we decided we're going to do a second record with Bob Galati, may he rest in peace. We had a trio with him called Gons. And we were going in the studio every week like before, but for some reason, a certain week, well, for some reason, probably food poisoning, but Bob had a stomach bug and he couldn't come. So Jerry said, well, let's go in anyway. I'll play drums. And so we went in there. He brought his drums with him. I don't know if he still has, I think he still has the red Gretsch drums. And we put down some duo tracks. Although he played piano, tenor, and drums, of course, beautifully. And we recorded a couple of songs, and they were so good that we decided to keep going, and we ended up making a second album, Jerry Bergonzi Quartet, actually. And in the liner notes, it's funny, in the liner notes it says, there's a special chemistry in the group among the players in the group, like the same guy. he didn't say that, and I always thought that was a good line. But anyway, as the years have gone on, the two of us have always continued to share our music and experiment with things, and it's like we're going to school together. It's really been wonderful. It's been like I've got a classmate and a mentor at the same time. Anyway, so we're still doing this today, like 40 years later. And recently, during the pandemic, I've been looking for ways to keep things going without having any gigs, without having any sessions with groups of people, large groups. And somehow I got turned onto this program called Acapella. I heard about it from another bass player. Famous bass player, Lee Sklar. He's the guy that played with James Taylor for like 100 years, And I thought, well, let me check this thing out, So I did the trial, 30-day trial, but it only lets you record for like 3 minutes or something like that, or maybe even 30 seconds for the trial. And then after 30 days, if you want to keep it, or you want to go for longer than 30 seconds or 30 minutes, whatever, I think it is 30 seconds, yeah. Then you have to, of course, buy a package. So you can either subscribe to it by the month, or if you want to be frugal, you can get in there for $50, I think, for the whole thing, for a year anyway, which is pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is I'll show you what this thing can do, and then I'll show you how we've been using it. Okay. So. Okay, so first off, can you see my iPad? Can everyone see that? Okay, so this is the Acapella app. There are some very good vocalists who have done like multi-track, beautiful harmonized vocals on this particular app, and instrumentalists and chamber groups and all kinds of things. So anyway, now, if I want to push on any of those, I can, check out their music. I can invite them to collaborate on something, whatever. But what I've been doing is I go in here and it asks me if I want to record a new project. Okay, so I go like that. And then I get this selection of how I want to lay out the boxes. So I can have a pretty large group if I want. And I also have the premium designs where the players would be in these windows. And I've got lots of choices, as you can see. like that. Or I can go back and I have these classic ones. And then there are different different dimensions for those. And also you can increase the number of people involved until you've got, you know, a fairly large group. Okay, so anyway, back to the original. Oh, how do I get back to this? Okay, arrow. Okay, so this is how it works. I pick a thing like this. Say I go, I select that. Now I've chosen 2 players, and I choose a time that I want. 3 minutes, well, 15 second, 30 second. Custom allows you to go as long as you want. Okay, if you go for the last one. Well, actually, no, it says maximum 10 minutes, but you don't want to play too much longer than that anyway, because people lose interest, especially in these days with the, you know, quick stuff online. People's attention spans are worse than children. And so then you do that, okay, and you go back. Let's see, I did pick it. How do I do it? Sorry, I'm still learning. Huh. All right, so I've chosen my thing. 3 minutes. Okay. I push the next button, and then I get these two boxes with plus signs in them. So I push one, and I get the record thing. Okay. Now I can just press the little record button. It tells you it's better to use headphones. Press the record button, I get a 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. And then I say 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I got the bass part. Then I push the red button to stop it. I don't know if you can still see that. Next thing I do is I say continue. And now I've got the other box, okay? So now on the other box, pardon me, on the other box I can put in if I can get this to show. I don't know if it'll work. Let's see. Oh, the only problem that I think about this is that bothers me is the time it takes. Oh, it's actually that was pretty fast. But sometimes when you say you want to save it, you know, to go to the next thing, it takes a while to do its thing, you know. But anyway, now I've got the second box. I push on the second box. Okay. Now I've got this, and I can hit this, and I'll get my 4, 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh, I don't hear anything. Uh-oh. Okay, well, at any rate, what's happening is it's telling me I need to wear headphones. So I'm going to stop it. But anyway, what I can do at that point is put in a second part, you know, like, etc., and play another part with that bass line. So what we've done, Jerry and I, is we have put down the bass and drums in one of those boxes, and then he will go to the piano or the saxophone, one of those two first, and he will put in the melody and the solo. We try to figure out ahead of time how many choruses we're going to need and where the solos are going to be, etc. Of course, it's not easy for a senior citizen like myself to keep track of all the choruses, but we've managed to be successful so far. So anyway, this is my most recent composition called Parabolic. And so I gave him a B flat part for his tenor, a C part for his piano, and the drums and bass go first. And in the end, we end up with this, let's see, I'll share my screen. Okay. This is the most recent, this is the Parabolic. Okay. I'll take it back to the beginning. Okay, see him back there on the drum kit? If you have headphones or a speaker, you're going to have better sound, okay? But we've also learned that where you position yourself in relation to the phone or the iPad that's doing the a cappella recording will have an effect on how the blend comes out later. So we've actually done some experimenting with, being close, being back, being this way, that way. And in this case, we figured out that if he blows under the keyboard, it doesn't overpower the microphone and the sound is pretty nice. So this is the latest thing we've done, okay? It's Parabolic. Okay? I didn't trim off the beginning yet. Okay, so what happened there was we didn't you know, he started to change to the ending for the drums, and but he needed more time to because he was burning, you know. Anyway, so I'll stop that one. So anyway, that is the process that we go through, and there have been some tracks that we've been able to do a nice job completing. Actually, that one didn't end badly. It was you know, we were able to salvage the ending pretty good, as you can imagine, as most musicians would do, you know, naturally.
Yeah, Bruce,
So,
that sounded great, man.
oh,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you, thank you.
Jerry,
And,
Jerry sounded great, man. Yeah,
oh my God, there you go. Can you
yeah.
believe the
Thank you,
drumming on
Kevin.
that
You're
thing?
kind. A work in progress. We're having fun. You know what I said to Bruce? I said, man, as long as we're having fun, then we're meeting our goal. You know, that's all I want to do.
That's the bottom line right there. Yeah.
Hey, Bruce,
Yes.
um, it sounded great. Let me ask you a question though.
Yes. Sure.
If you plugged in a microphone
Right.
to your iPad, so you know where I'm going,
Yes, I do. Yes.
you could mic yourself at least so it wouldn't be like you're catching it over the iPad mic.
Exactly. So I had for a while I was using a little mic that you plug into the iPhone actually that has these two mics that rotate and you can position them different ways and whatnot. I didn't find that worked as well, even though it had various, you know, 90 degree, 120 degree, whatever, you know, one of those kind of things, and it had level control as well. That didn't work as well. If I had a nice USB mic to use with it, then I probably could have gotten a better blend. Yeah, I think you're right, absolutely right. Microphones would make a big difference, especially.
Yeah, I know some folks that are using a cappella.
Oh,
I think some folks even over at Berkeley.
oh, is that right?
Nichelle, which is what's her name? Vocalist, one of the vocal teachers.
Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle Mungo. Yeah,
Michelle Mongo.
yeah.
But there are a number of apps that do that so
Uh-huh.
that you can, you know, pretty much do like the TikTok thing where you're singing with yourself.
Right.
But that's a great app. It's a great app, you know, to do something. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Well, we've already done about 10 tunes, and I've done a few things at home where I'm just, you know, playing multiple bass tracks or, you know, piano and bass, you know, etc. But yeah, I want to get it so I can have microphones and do the whole thing, you know. I would also like to show you, after you get the thing finished, you then have, and of course, once I get mics going, it'll be even better, but you can, let's see. Okay, so this is the profile of my of the things that I've done that I managed to save so far. You can see that. I don't know if you can see it, but if I were to pick one of these, let's see. Okay, let me pick this one. Okay. Let's see if I can. So what you do is you import the project. It's been saved. You re-import it, and then it takes a second for that to do its thing. Okay. I appreciate your patience. And once it comes through, then I can now I can push on I can hit this little icon right here, and that allows me to do like a mix. Okay. So there's the bass and drums. This is a different tune. Now I can change my level. I go into the equalizer, right? I can select, this is the bass. This is actually acoustic bass, supposedly, but you can't hear any of it because of the iPad speaker. But I have my level control there for the drums and bass. And then if I go slide it down, see, you've got all these parametrics that you can adjust the highs and the mids and everything else. Okay? And so, there's a lot of things you can do afterwards to improve it,
Yeah,
And
nice
of
group.
course, the idea of the microphone thing is like definitely in my plan to perfect what I've been doing. But this has just been an experiment for me because I'm a low tech kind of guy, and actually I think Jerry probably is as well. But we just have fun doing this and putting down the layers and hearing our tunes played, and then we can decide like, oh, that's cool, that's not cool. Let's do this, let's do that.
Hey Bruce,
Yes.
can I ask you,
Yeah.
and all of the other artists who will be presenting tonight, would you mind putting in the chat maybe a few links to where people can see more of your projects? Would you, if you wouldn't
Sure.
mind, that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
that
Yeah.
would be
I put them
awesome,
on.
man.
Yeah. They're
Thank you,
mostly. I've put most of them up on the Facebook.
beautiful, beautiful,
You know.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much, man,
Okay.
for sharing with us and inspiring us.
It
Appreciate
was,
you.
it was a quick 20 minutes, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, well worth it though. Well
Well, I
worth.
hope so. I hope you guys got something out of that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
So,
Hey, Tim.
so now, thank you, Bruce. Now we're gonna
Yeah.
go on to another wonderful artist that a majority of us know, but we're going to have but if you don't know him, I'm gonna let him introduce this project by way of
Okay.
just sharing it with us. But this is Jason Palmer, everyone, wonderful trumpet player and friend and
Yeah.
friend of Jazz Boston of Boston. Jason, please tell us what you're presenting, please.
Hello, everybody. How's my level? It's okay. Okay, wonderful. It's great to see everyone's faces. I miss you all dearly, and yeah, thanks for inviting me for this. And I'm excited to share this project. This project that I put together is a series of duos that I put together towards the end of June, going back to the middle of March of last year when everything went online for me, all my teaching and all my recording and everything. It forced me to learn Logic, which I was real hesitant because I was horrible at GarageBand. And so I started to get into that in order to continue teaching my courses at Berkeley. And I got pretty proficient at it over a couple of months. And then I started to get into iMovie because I wanted to sync up some video with some of the things that I was mixing for my classes. Because what I ended up having to do is prepare all of my ensembles that I was working with up until March. Instead of preparing for a recital, we prepare for a recording. And so I put together videos. I just grabbed stuff off online, some, various, I don't know, kind of really generic videos and synced them up with the songs that we were working on. And so that's how I was able to get the tools to put together the project that I ended up putting together and I'm going to present to you. And towards the end of May, beginning of June, I heard about the killing of Breonna Taylor. She was I think she was a paramedic in Kentucky, and she was killed by some law enforcement people during a no-knock warrant. And when I read about that, I was just crushed, and so I wanted to put together something to really spread the word about her life and try to bring more voices to the call for action and justice in that case. And so I ended up seeing a a recording that was put together that's very similar to this one. It influenced me to do this one. It was by a saxophone player named John Ellis, and he put together a project. It's just one recording of George Floyd's name being spelled, and he played all the notes on the staff that spelled out his name. And John Ellis is a great woodwinds player, and so he played all the woodwinds. So it sounded like a really cool condensed woodwind section. So I was like, man, that's really cool. I want to try to do something on the trumpet like that. And so what I ended up doing is saying, how can I make this different? And so what I did is I made a picture, and so I put space in between each letter. I put 8 seconds because she was shot 8 times, and at the end of the project, I put 26 seconds of silence that could represent her age. She was 26 when she was killed last year, and so I left that space for the people that I contacted. I sent out a mass email of all the information. I said, okay, I'm going to recorded this. Can you all send me some, just playing over what I've recorded, and then I'll play to what you send to me. And so it was like a back and forth about 3 times over. And so I'll show you what I ended up doing is making the picture. I had to take a little over 200, I think 214 photos, because each dot represents a note in the composition that spells out her name. And I put that all in the iMovie. And so I had my, where's my camera? I'll show you. This thingy right here was a godsend. And also I had some sheet music. And so with that, I made a progressive scan video so you can kind of see how it works. And then I'll present the duo that Kevin and I did. And Kevin was one of the first people that sent me something together. So I'll show the just the progressive screen. So y'all can see that? Okay, so that's the dot, and it'll be about, let's see. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's see. Maybe it's this one. Nope, that's the wrong one too. I'll try another one. Mm-hmm. Nope, sorry. I'll try this again. Oh, here we go. Yep. So I'll back this up so you can kind of see how it works. So. Okay, so that's how the composition went, and it was really difficult to make the O's round in that. So my penmanship or lack of really came through in that. But yeah, and so things were played out of order to make it sound musical, and so I ended up recording each trumpet part through Logic, and I just layered stuff on top of parts. And so when that sound file was ready, I synced it up with the video. And so I had to go into iMovie and make each frame a certain length to try to make it match the movement of the pictures and the movement of the music. I had to sync that up. That was the most tedious thing about it. And so once that was all set, I had a blueprint that I could send to everybody. And so then I sent everybody that. and left the space in between and allowed people to play over it or in between, or, you know, there were some people that were really minimalist about it. There were some people that were maximalist about it. And then when they sent me back what they played, then I played to it, and that was the end product. And so it was, for me, it started to really pick up towards the end of June, which was after the school year was over. So I was like done with all my teaching obligations. And so you usually get in a more creative mode where you want to play and do things. So it kind of really filled that void for me. And so, yeah, I want to play the one that I did with Kevin. I think eventually I ended up making about 15 or 16 collaborations, and I made a YouTube playlist on my page that I'll send a link to, so you can see collaborations with other people, and collaborated with saxophonists, drummers, bassists, pianists, you know, so it was a pretty wide gamut of people. So here is, let's see, had to close that out. Okay, so here is the one I did with Kevin. Let's see, I'll share sound, can't forget that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Very nice, man.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a note. There was no sound in my,
Oh, was that the
Yeah,
case with
me
every?
either. I couldn't hear anything either.
couldn't hear a note.
I,
Oh, really? Okay.
I
Well,
think the majority of us could though.
You could hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anybody besides Jerry and Tessel who couldn't hear?
Oh, I could hear it. I could hear it.
Okay.
Sounded good. Sounded good.
So I think the majority of us could.
I'll send a link. Yeah, if you want to check it out later, it's all on
Love
the
to
tube.
hear it.
Yeah, it was really nice, man.
I heard it.
you.
It's fine.
Yeah, the I forgot to mention. I tried to give it some sonic organization by having the parts that I made last after everyone sent, with the mute in the trumpet, and so those are the parts that are improvised, the trumpet parts, which could seem obvious to some listeners, but not everyone. So I tried to make that distinction on most other tracks that I collaborated with.
How many other people didn't hear it? Were there any other people that didn't hear it? Just you,
Yeah,
Leland, you didn't
yeah.
hear it?
No, I did not hear it.
Okay, I can post a file in the chat box.
Great.
Let's see. I don't know. Can it do MP4s? Let's try that. Let's see. That's a big file. It's 130 megabytes.
It may take a little bit, but I think you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, JP.
Oh, it's on YouTube. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have a whole playlist on
All right.
on the YouTube. So.
All right, then.
Yeah, mine was 100 megabytes, and that worked. So it should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was nice, JP, man. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that. It was
Oh, of course.
it was great being on that project. And you know, one thing I'll say just from the accompaniment angle that I found was really nice is just being able to sketch out the melody of what you played and trying to accompany that as if it were, you know, like we were in the same room. I found that to be a real nice challenge. I probably had to play with it like at least 50 times. But, you know, but it was, you know, it was a real nice challenge, man. Beautiful project.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, thank you for contributing. Yeah, it was really honored to have you on board, man.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. We just as a reminder in the chat, if anybody has any questions or just kind of thoughts for any of the musicians, just you know, put it there because I'm sure as the night goes on, they'll be able to answer themselves in the chat. So anyway, let's move on. Geoff Adams, where are you? There you are. Everyone, I was as we were talking earlier of all the musicians playing tonight. Geoff and I haven't had the opportunity to play or collaborate yet, but I have enjoyed watching this project, and I think you guys are in for a treat. So, Geoff, you please tell us a little bit about this project.
Thank you. First, Kevin, we got to get some of your quarter notes in our band.
Yeah, man.
Some of your quarter notes.
You triplets, you know.
Yeah. I'm a video maker and I work in television. And I hesitate to say I'm a musician with this crowd. I'm more of a musical instrument owner user. You guys are the real thing. And I play in a band called the Second Line Social Aid and Pleasure Society Brass Band. And I'm very pleased that we have Ken Field in the group. And he's our resident, brilliant jazz saxophonist, composer, arranger, and everything. And but most of us in the band are citizen musicians. And it's a large band. It's over 20 people. It's often 30 people. And when the pandemic hit, it was somewhat of a crisis because our weekly rehearsals were no longer happening. Our gig schedule fell apart. And the people in the band wanted to play and wanted to collaborate and wanted to do something creative. The band is a street band, and we play for social justice causes, protests, parades, that kind of thing. I'm sure you're familiar with the Honk Festival. That's a festival that was put together by this band and other people associated with the band in Somerville. And so this creative urge was something we wanted to solve doing what we were seeing on so many other bands were doing, we were seeing those boxes of these musicians all playing together, yet apart. And there was a lot of interest in trying to do this in the band. And since I'm in the video production field, and I happen to have a break myself because of COVID, I offered my services to put something together. And we actually had a need. There was a Somerville Porch Fest that was going to be done virtually, and they were asking for video submissions. So we submitted a video, and I'm going to show you the video first, and then talk a little bit about how this was put together. So hopefully I will do everything that I'm supposed to do. And do you see a video screen there? All right. This song is called You Move, You Lose, composed by the Rebirth Brass Band. And this is just an excerpt. The actual video is over 5 minutes long. This is about 2.5-minute excerpt. So that was just a short, thank you. That was just a short edited version of the video. And the process started with a MIDI guide track, or actually an audio file made via MIDI that Angie Sassy, an alto sax player in the band, put together. She transcribed the tune and played it in her MIDI system and made this version of the entire song. And everybody downloaded that. And then I asked everybody if they could have two devices, one device to play the audio on, a second device to record video and audio of themselves playing their part. And I asked people, use your newest, bestest device for the video recording and your other device for the audio playback on headphones. and make sure the light is in front of you, and dress up and play your part. So everybody did, and some people did multiple takes, and whoever wanted to played a full 16-bar solo section too. So everybody played a solo, and they supplied me with all of those tracks. I think it was about 22 musicians ultimately in that. So the first place those tracks ended up was in Adobe Premiere, which is a video editing software that some of you are probably familiar with. So I'm going to share the screen again and just show you some software screens. So there is 20 tracks in a timeline on Adobe Premiere. I didn't even know you could get 20 tracks in the timeline of Adobe Premiere. That's all the video and all of the audio tracks. Most of them were mono, some of them were stereo, all laid out and synced up in Adobe Premiere.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. The great revelation in doing this project, and the big problem in collaborating online in general, as you all know, has to do with timing and synchronization. And even in this mode where everybody is playing to the exact same guide track, it was a revelation to me to see the amount of drift that took place. And now, since we weren't playing together, everybody's drifting differently. When we play together, as you all know, the timing is all shifting slightly and swinging. And since you're all there listening and playing, you compensate and it just works. But what I was confronted with were these 20 tracks that were all drifting all over the place. And so it became very clear that I would have to work on the audio and video separately. So I exported all of the audio tracks to a digital performer, Mark of the Unicorn digital performer, which is like Logic. It's a MIDI and audio recording program. So here's now all of the audio stacked up in digital performer and color coded by section. All right, but now I want to show you a close-up of the drum track, the drummers. These are all the drummers. Every place you see a vertical line, that's where I made a slice and had to shift the timing. So every drum track has minute shifts in timing to get everybody locked up. So I would listen through, and usually on the 2 and the 4 of every measure, make sure everybody's on it through the whole song. So you can see in some cases, it's almost every measure. And some of the players can get through about 6 measures before I have to do a little shift. So this was laborious. Here's the same thing with the trombones. There you see it is almost literally every measure, every player had to be shifted to be right where it was supposed to be. So I did develop a way of doing this relatively quickly, luckily.
No wonder it sounded so good.
Huh?
No wonder it sounded so good.
Oh, well,
So hooked up. Wow.
You should hear what the original sounds like. Not so good. I'm not going to play it for you. So then in Performer, I did all the other mixing things that you would do. I did level changes and added reverb and did all those things. And then I made submixes of every section and exported that back to Premiere. So here's Premiere. Let me zoom in a little bit. And now, if you look down below here, that's all of the audio tracks. Now there's just 6 stereo pairs, and then all of the video tracks are there. And then the fun begins all over again, because I was compelled to try to break out of the world of just simple static boxes. I wanted to do something a little bit more fun. And I do a lot of work in After Effects, which is a motion graphics program. It's like animation, but it's 2D animation. And so once I had everything synced up in Premiere, I exported to After Effects. So I'm just going to show you another thing. Hold on. Oh, wait, sorry, I have to stop and start the share again.
I have to just say to you, Geoff, I'm so impressed as an instructor of Premiere and After Effects and audio, video, that you took the time to do this.
Yeah, it was fun. I had a lot of fun.
It's fun.
Unfortunately, the band didn't get to have all this fun that I did. They had fun recording their part, but I got to do all this stuff and it was great fun. So here's a very quick movie that shows you what you can do in After Effects. This is just very simple what I'm going to show you. So this is a track of Angie, our sax player. She's dancing around and she's in a layer, and then I can add a solid layer to which I can put a shape, and then I can key her through that hole. And so now I have her in the hole and I can move her around, resize her, all those parameters can change. And then I can marry her to that hole. She becomes attached to the hole and then I can animate that hole. So that was the basic technique I used to do all the movement that you saw in that clip. So this is not currently animated. That's just to show you the basic principle of what you can do in After Effects. And you can do the same kind of thing in Premiere, but it's very awkward. And then also Adobe has a program called Motion that does the same thing. And there are others. So I took the time to really build a graphic sequence in Adobe Premiere after taking care of all of those sync problems. Let's see. Then once everything was in Premiere, I did another mix of all those sections. You can draw volume changes in Premiere. And oh, the other thing was I had these, this was fun. I had maybe 10 16-bar solos in that tune. So once I did the bass tune, I did not do the solos. I went back to Premiere and cut the solos and then went back to Performer and made that montage of like 2-bar bits. So there's two 16-bar choruses and everybody who played a chorus is in there for 2 bars each, roughly, something like that. And let's see.
And Geoff, just out of curiosity,
Yes.
from beginning to end, how long did the whole process take?
You don't keep track of things like that.
You don't do that to yourself?
I don't know. I would say maybe about 20 hours, something like that.
Wow.
Spread over a week and a half.
You're being generous.
I want to show you another one. So we did that, and then we decided we're going to do another one. Do I have time? The next one's 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, why don't you show that? Then we have a couple of questions. So let's leave a little bit of time and not and leave enough time for the next.
Okay, so here's another one. This tune is called Planet Gibbous by Hypnotic Brass Ensemble. And this was made as our Black Lives Matter piece for fundraising. It was attached to a fundraising effort attached to Black Lives Matter. And again, this is not the entire video. This is a 2.5-minute edited excerpt of that piece. Sorry, fussing around with all these things. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
there's no template for doing that the way I did it. I want to mention one other thing we did in that video. Because we were Zooming all the time, we did a Zoom session where I arranged just some visual stuff for us to do so we could kind of pay tribute to the whole Zoom thing. So you saw that in there. There was some fun Zoomy stuff going on. So that's
Geoff, can I jump in and just, there were a couple of questions. We were sort of out of time, but somebody asked about whether the drift, whether it was clock drift or whether it was because of a variable frame rate recording situation. That's one question. Another question was how long it took you, which has been answered. And another question was what kind of computer you needed to do this work on.
I'll answer the computer first. It's just an iMac, a large iMac. That's what I use for all my video editing. So not an especially powerful computer, actually. The drift did not have to do with any kind of clock drift or video format drift. Everybody's video started and stopped at the same time. Everybody arrived at each section of the song at the same time. It wasn't that problem. The big timing was intact. It was really from measure to measure, chorus to chorus. There were just slight changes. And in Premiere, because the video editing program, you can only edit to within a 30th of a second, a frame. So that's why it had to be done in Digital Performer, which is an audio program, and you can edit to the waveform. So these were very minute timing problems that had to do with how the song was played. It wasn't technical timing problems.
Thanks so much, Geoff. I'll step back. I think those were the questions that were up there. Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks.
Geoff. Yeah, Geoff. Geoff, also, I just want to say it's great to see so many artists, kind of as Nina Simone said, just representing the times that we live in and addressing those times. So, on behalf of many artists, to you, great job just kind of addressing these times. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sure. Sorry, go ahead, Geoff.
I was going to say thank you to Jason and Bruce for their beautiful work. It was lovely and very moving and fantastic. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. Last artist of the night. Zahili, please tell us all about your project, please.
Well, once again, thank you so much for having me, Kevin. It's such a pleasure. And, having seen everybody, I'm connecting with everybody in all ways possible. So what I'm presenting today is a collaboration project. And I wrote a few points in here because I don't want to forget about anything. So these are two very talented Cuban female musicians that reside in Boston. Actually, no, they reside in Toronto, but I met them in Boston. They played a concert here, which was the last concert of their American tour. And as chances happen, my husband happened to be playing bass with them because their bass player at the time didn't get a visa to tour the US. So they had to find a bassist last minute. And yeah, I got to witness their artistry and their talent firsthand on their last concert, which was very emotional. As many Cubans outside of Cuba, and this is just part of our identity and our story. Once we come in contact with each other, we realize that we have friends in common, that our upbringing was very similar, that the school we went to probably was the same, that we probably had the same teachers, and that we have a similar journey. There's always something very sort of somber when it comes to, us leaving our country, leaving families behind, so on and so forth. So I got to see them live, and this was 2019 in the summer. Fast forward to that, the pandemic hit, and we all stayed without work. And as many of you already know, one way of connecting was just to call each other. Hey, do you want to just collaborate? You want to do something? And I was truly honored, because when I saw them live, I was just taken aback. So obviously I did say yes. So before I present this to you guys, I just want to tell you a little bit about them. So the name of the band is Okan. And Okan is a Yoruba or a Santeria kind of work that means water and heart in the Yoruba tradition in Cuba. And the band is led by these two ladies, the violinist, who is, classically trained violinist. Her name is Elizabeth Rodriguez. And her wife, which is from Santiago de Cuba and is a percussionist. The song that we played is called 1,000 Words. And I took a little excerpt and I tried my very best to translate what the song was about, which I loved it. Goes something like this, very similar. I tried my best. Through one's look on their faces, 1,000 words echo in the air. Through one's pain, new wounds are born, and these wounds heal inevitably with time. From the lack of love from others, one can learn to appreciate and love oneself, and to see things where one could not have noticed them before. From darkness, you can become light, and that light shines and encourages the souls that exist still in pain. Very poetic. And then it just carries on into a storyline about romance and love and staying together through thick and thin. So without further ado, let me present this song to you. Okay. Share sound. Can you guys see that? And let me know if you can hear it. Yeah? All right, here it comes.
Una mirada salen mil palabras que resuenan como eco y palpitan por sí solas. Del dolor salen nuevas llagas que se curan con el tiempo si dejas pasar las horas. Del desamor nacen otras cosas que no sabía que existían, pero me han colmado todas. Que existe y llora. De nuevos besos salen como flores, deseos insaciables que no paran aunque llores. De más está decir que me perdones por cada triste adiós que te pedí sin concesiones, aunque duele aún. Sé que pasará, junto a ti el tiempo corre sin parar. No me dejes ir, vamos a esperar. Aunque el trago amargo no puedo ocultar, quiero comenzar y llegar al fin y dejar las huellas que me vieron partir. No regresaré a la oscuridad, más vale querer y no mirar atrás. corazón que me han dejado hecho astillas. Con tu mirada llego al infinito. Qué valentía tú le has dado a este corazoncito. No tengo miedo, solo necesito que me prometas ese amor que no se halla en cualquier sitio.
Ah, and
Really nice. Great fun.
Nice, Z. Yes.
thank you. I mean, it meant a lot to me. It was one of the first projects I worked on, with this pandemia movement. We stayed without a job and we just wanted to connect and we just wanted to continue playing. So the fact that I was able to, come about this beautiful collaboration, it was just joy. It was just joy. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, this makes me smile so much. And just like everybody else, I was not used to recording myself. So it's one of the good things that we're taking with us now, post pandemia. Now, perhaps we don't have to depend all the time on, going to a studio and recording studio, but we can probably just manage ourselves some of the time. And it's been a great learning experience. Just like Jason, now I'm, calling people to do duos with just to stay inspired. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? I don't see anything in the chat, but
I just want to say thank you to everybody. It was great to hear and to see, hear the music and see the projects that everybody's been working on in this time. That's wonderful, wonderful. Yeah.
Ken, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about or just mention a project that I got to do with some artists this summer where we recorded a concert series. Kevin Harris, Camilla Cortina Bello, and Tim Harris. We shot individual shows of each one at Wally's. So we have 3 shows in the can, and those will be going up online mid February and early March. So I'll send the link in the chat.
Yeah, let us know, Tessel, when that comes up, and we can let people know via Jazz Boston. There was a question in the chat, Zilly, about what software was used for this project. Is that something you were directly involved with?
So I didn't do the video myself, but I believe it was Final Cut. Final Cut Pro? Would that be the proper name? It certainly wasn't iMovie.
It looked like a Final Cut.
Yeah, it did look like a Final Cut. And the way I did it, so they sent a little demo with the tempo, obviously the music and all of that. I imported the demo into Logic, and then I recorded the piano on top of that, and then exported the piano on its own so that they could do all the editing. Actually, yes, when I was recording it, I also was doing the video at the same time. So
Cool.
See, that's great. That's great. That's awesome.
joy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I have a
I
question.
have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, after you, Eric.
Oh, thank you. Basically, I was just wondering and asking this more for other people than for me, although maybe everybody else knows. I'm just concerned or wondering about the cost of the equipment, the software that the people had to use to make these projects. What's the range? How much if somebody's watching and wants to try and do something like this, what's it going to cost them in terms of software?
Well, I can start, Eric. If you saw the thing that I did, that was a cappella.
Yes.
It's actually rather inexpensive. I think you can get a year of that for $50, and you're able to do a maximum of 10 minutes. And I think you can have up to maybe 20 instruments. I'm not sure about that, but I think
Okay.
about that. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
Yeah.
So that may have, I'm just guessing, that was probably the least
Yes.
expensive
Yes.
project we saw. Okay.
That's
Okay.
made for like iPhones and iPads.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Thanks, Bruce.
And then on my end, you can subscribe to Adobe, all of Adobe's products, and pay a monthly fee of something like $60 for as long as you're using it, or you can buy programs individually. So I think to get Adobe Premiere individually might be about a $300 thing. And likewise for After Effects and Premiere, Digital Performer, I think are also in that range, something like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question for Bruce about a cappella. You and Jerry were working together. Like you were together,
Right.
physically together. But couldn't you use a cappella
Yeah.
remotely? Like you could do some parts, you could
I have.
share that via the cloud with someone, they could add, et cetera, et
Yeah,
cetera.
I did some bass duets with John Lockwood, and I sent him my part, and he put his part, and we did some blues and some other tunes in the very beginning. And so they were, musically they were good, they were really good, but I just didn't have it together yet to make them sound right, and particularly the challenge of having 2 basses sonically was, an extra challenge. However, now I think I could. Well, I was at his house a couple of weeks ago, and we just did some duets there together. But I think I'm better at that now because I didn't even know how to do the mixing before. I didn't even know you could mix it, and then I found out you could through emailing the guy that or someone from the company, and then he helped me a lot with how to do that. So I think I could easily do that now. Yeah. But the other person needs to have I think the program as well. I think they're limited as to what they can do if you send them a track, unless they also have the app.
Yeah.
But it's cheap, so you want to have fun with another musician. It's not a lot of money to spend.
I mean, if you have a Mac, the one super easy thing is that GarageBand and iMovie already come with the computer software, and it just works great. I've done it that way too if I feel lazy, because Logic is still something I'm getting into. iMovie I can deal with, but Logic is still taking me some time. But GarageBand does the job too.
And I'll mention that Calvin has posted in the chat a free version, a package that has a free version called DaVinci Resolve. I'm not familiar with it, but.
Can you spell that in the chat or something?
It's in the chat.
Oh, it is. Okay, thanks.
I'm going to jump in and just thank everybody for doing this.
I think Jason had a question too.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's, I don't know. It's a purely selfish question. It's more for concerning Bruce's project. I had a question for Jerry. So great to see you, Jerry. I miss you dearly. And
I miss you too, Jason.
I was wondering, for your part, did you record the piano part first or the saxophone part first, or does it matter depending on the tune? Or?
Always recorded, when I recorded with Bruce, I always recorded the drums first.
Yeah, the drum. Yeah, I mean after the drums. Yeah.
Oh, then I put the piano on.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
Because I didn't know the tune, so by the time I put the chords on the piano, I said, "Oh, and now I get it."
Yep.
I have done it where I put the saxophone on and then put the chords on later. But this tune I didn't know it, so I just.
Yeah. He's done it. He's done it the other way around too. The tenor first, and then the piano.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
wow, these projects tonight was just so great. Wow, so happening. Thanks for everybody who got this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Big applause for Bruce. Big applause for Jason. Big applause for Geoff and Zahili. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. I know, Ken, I know you have one thing you want to say, but before you say that, if anybody wants to put into the chat other kind of events or programs that JazzBoston, that maybe you'd like to see JazzBoston do in the future, kind of similar to this for the jazz community, what would you like to see? Feel free to type those there, because that's what we're trying to, best serve as best we can. So anyway, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for organizing this. Thank you so much for putting this together. This was a great thing.
I have another question too. Will this be on the JazzBoston website or pinned to the Facebook page or something?
Well, it's been recorded, although I was a little slow on the trigger recording, so I missed a couple of words of Kevin's at the beginning, but we'll see. I'll take a look and see if it got recorded to the cloud by Zoom. So it should be available to everyone, but I'll have to check that out, and we'll try to make that available.
Okay. Okay.
I do want to say thanks so much to the presenters, to Kevin for coming up with this idea, this thought about what would be helpful to people, and of course to all the people who joined in. Really great. And we would like to do more of these kinds of things that will be of interest to the jazz community, not just to musicians, but to listeners and to all kinds of people who consider themselves part of the community. And if you do have an idea, as Kevin says, put it in the chat, but you could also email it to us. You could email to me directly, info@jazzboston.org. You could probably find Kevin pretty easily, email directly to him. So thanks so much to everybody for being here tonight, and thanks to our new administration for being our new national administration. It wouldn't be good to not mention that, I don't think. So,
And Zahili's giving us some music to celebrate too, so we're good. We're good. Yeah.
okay. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks again. We'll see you again. Oh, and if you're not a member of Jazz Boston, if you haven't joined in the past month, you might already be a member from before, but please join again. Go to the website. It's free. Just join, and that way we know you're still here. As I say, it's free. Did I say that?
Yes.
And you can also, if you want, you could donate something to us also on the website, jazzboston.org. Thanks so much. Have a good night,
Night,
everybody.
everybody.
Good night.
Night, thanks.
I'm just saving the chat here.